It's late Saturday morning. Pretty cold out there. I got up this morning, it's 15 degrees. Now it's about 30. I'm back home from work. Seems like I'm always wasting time at work. I'm gonna turn on my heater and get busy. Put some oil in that thing. Prime the oil pump, put distributor in it. I need to work on that carburetor. And maybe I'll dig out a transmission and see what we got there. Well, I put some oil in it. And let's see how much oil pressure we got. Looks like nearly 70. Cold. Guess I'll go ahead and put a distributor in it. Alright, got things buttoned back up here, distributor in it. I'll run that Mallory distributor, I guess. It doesn't have any vacuum advance. I'm a little bit leery about that. It's been my experience, motors like vacuum advance, but we'll see what happens. And now I need to take this carburetor off and go through it one time, so it'll run right on this motor. Let me start by taking it off. Cutworm's right. That thing stinks. Maybe one of these days I'll get a waste oil burner or something. But it don't really get cold enough here to worry about that. Alright, got the carburetor off. And now it's time to begin disassembly. Of course you need a screwdriver, a 1-inch wrench, and a 5/8 wrench. And that's about it. As you begin disassembly of a quadrajet, there's a few things you need to look for. One, right there, if you were to lay a straight edge across here and here, you'll find these things warped pretty bad a lot of times. That one there looks to be pretty good. Another thing to look for is that little plastic cam that opens up the secondary hangers, which pulls those rods out of the jets and gives fuel to the secondaries. Quite often you'll see those broken, not working. And then something I noticed here on the secondary hanger, it's bent. If you look across those two holes, one is dang near 3/16 of an inch higher than the other one. So what that means is that thing's in there like that. Your secondary's open. One's going to be lean, one's going to be rich. Not good for horsepower. So we'll need to either straighten that one or put a new one in. Let's continue. Another thing to be mindful of is you take out these primary metering rods. The correct procedure to unseat that is just push it up and down a few times and let the spring pop that little retainer loose. You don't want to pry on it or you'll bend this stuff and it won't work right. Alright, we got the float and everything out of there, the needle and seat. You need a large screwdriver for that. Make sure you use a large one, don't booger things up. A new one of those always comes in a kit. I'm not going to put a kit in this because it's in pretty good shape and I got some extra gaskets and whatnot. This part here goes right in there. There's a little check ball in there and that's for the accelerator pump. You need to make sure you get that out and don't lose it. I usually just turn the carburetor upside down and let it fall out in my hand. You do not need to remove this. That adjusts how far down in the vacuum can pull your primary metering rods, unless you're modifying the carburetor a lot. It's usually not needed. Right here's another piece you can discard right under the choke thermostat housing. That little rod there is designed to keep the secondaries from open when the choke is on, but mostly it just keeps the secondaries from open. And that just slides off there. And you can throw it as far as you can. Just discovered another error. As you all know, that's the fuel filter that goes in here. And But somebody had put the spring in first, and then the fuel filter, and then this, but that's not how it's supposed to go. A little rubber seal end is supposed to go in like so, then the spring, then the housing, and that way the filter filters the fuel on the outside surface where you can see if it's good or not. And obviously that wasn't doing its job there. Once you get everything off the top side, just flip it over, and there's 3 screws in the bottom that takes the base plate off. Of course, you'll want to remove your idle mixture screws while you're doing that. And then this is another problem area with these quadrajets. There's little aluminum plugs in there. Somebody's already epoxied this up, but quite often they leak fuel out. In fact, my old blue Chevy's suffering from that right now. They're sitting there to leak fuel out of the float bowl and puddle up in the intake, and so you shut it off, try to start it up again, it'll be flooded sometimes. And of course, drain the fuel bowl and make it hard to start after it's sat a while. Somebody's already epoxied these over. There's different ways of doing it, but epoxying is one way. I'm not going to be able to save that base plate gasket. It kind of tore taking it off. Usually you can, if you're gentle, save them. Especially the top gasket you can reuse several times as long as it stays together. But I think I've got some more in my stash. Might be able to use that. And then once you get it all disassembled, put it in your little basket here. Now I know Chevaholic likes to put his in frying pans, but I find it makes my eggs taste bad. So I just use this basket and then put it down there in the goop and let it soak a while. Well, while the little carburetor's soaking, sharpened up my chainsaw. Won't focus too good, will it? Anyway, it's about time I bought a new chain. But I think she'll go a little bit more. I'm gonna go cut some wood. Well, I got some wood cut up. The oldest is carrying it in now. Boy, she likes doing that. So I'm glad to let her. I think now I'm gonna do some brake lines for the master cylinder on this thing. What you doing, girl?
I have great plans for this piece of wood.
And what are they?
You'll see.
So you're keeping secrets. Mm-hmm. What are you doing?
Digging through junk.
Well, we got plenty of that.
I know that's right. Mostly in the trunk, though.
What are you doing, mister?
Crafting my own airplane.
Crafting your own what?
Airplanes. Dog is keeping me from getting far.
It's a zoo.
Do you have a stir stick, Dad?
Hey. I thought I heard this thing making some kind of racket. What are you grinning about?
We got another thing done on it.
That's right, we did. We got all the brake lines hooked up. We converted it to a dual reservoir master cylinder. Added a Willwood brake bias valve. And we bled the master cylinder, and tomorrow, when we get a minute, we'll come out here and bleed the brakes. You can help me do that. And then we'll get the carburetor out of the bucket and work on that a little bit. But for tonight, I'm going in the house where it's warm. Well, that thing looks pretty good, don't it?